Hey everyone, this is a quick workout for days that you are hammered, when you know that you should move around but you're not necessarily feeling it. Hard workout yesterday, day before, stiffness, soreness is setting in. So this is just a little way to kind of get some movement, get some blood flow, and recover so you can hammer again tomorrow. First, upper body, just gonna get some movement. You can use a little momentum, just kind of get your arms loosened up, front to back, kind of whatever feels natural. You can go up overhead, a little bit of side bending. And then a little bit of trunk rotation, so just getting some movement in your abs, in your spine, wringing out your organs. Really focus on some deep breaths in this, so oxygen's gonna help flush your blood, get some metabolic waste products out of there. If you want, you can kind of combine the two motions. Just let your arms swing, a little bit of a qigong technique. Good. Let's do some squats. So just basic body weight squats, knee, hip range of motion. Paying attention to your form, even if your muscles are sore. Trying to really get your hips back as if you're sitting back behind you when you look down. Not letting your knees go forward, not tucking your pelvis forward. Just trying to create a crease in the front of those hips. These should be easy and should feel better the more you do. Just again, loosening things up. You can take a wider stance. You can turn your toes slightly outwards. And then a little bit of a sumo squat. Again, this is not going to be worth your time if you're feeling fresh and you're feeling good, but hopefully it'll feel about right if you have had a pretty hard day in the last couple workouts. So reach up and over. You're using this hand to create a little bit of length. So I'm pushing my hand into my hip and then reaching up overhead, getting some lengthening here. If you want, you can drop down and alternate or just stay there for a few breaths. We'll kind of just add different layers to all of these movements. So back to the original side. This time you're going to rotate open and then closed. So kind of facing up and then facing down. You should feel this differently. You're leading the movement with that reach, that length. You can play around with which direction your head is facing. You can either keep it down or you can keep your eyes on your hand, take it with. Drop down again, reach up and over, and rotate. Hopefully you have a tree that's getting in your way. And good. So after rotation, flexion is always nice. You're going to tuck your rib cage back. You're going to lock your knuckles together. You're going to gently try to draw your hands apart, but don't let them. So that tension right there creates an opening in between your shoulder blades. And again, breathing and playing around with some movement. You can kind of side bend. You can rotate. It's called a barrel hug, so you're just getting that big arc in between both arms. And then again, playing around with kind of the angle of flexion, angle of rotation of your head. Just mix and match, nothing too rigid here. We'll shoulder rolls, open that up. It's nice to have a step for this next one. It's not necessary, but you're gonna put your foot up on that step and you're just gonna lean into it. So again, trying to get some movement, some mobility. Sustained stretching after a hard workout may not feel that great. So just kind of taking your muscles through a range of motion, lubricating your joints, getting some blood flowing. Right now my rear foot is facing straight forward. You can also pivot it out, get a little bit more into your adductors. Be careful you don't overextend your lumbar spine here. And again, just kind of playing with some different movements. So you can opposite arm over. You can same arm down, just whatever feels good to you. Go ahead and switch sides after a few. And good. So let's just segmentally curl down. Chin down to your chest. Tuck, tuck, tuck. Reach down. Bend your knees. Come back up. Head comes up last. Side bend. Side bend. Drop down. Come up. Side bend. Side bend. Exhale as you fold. Couple more if those feel good to you. You can add a little extension here. Good, so let's just wake up some glutes, get some movement in there. You're gonna do a tippy bird. So step and then tip. You can either stay in one place or you can kind of travel as you're doing them. Goal is to kind of activate everything here. So you're keeping your hip bones facing straight forward, none of this stuff. And then just going down as far as is comfortable. Goal is to not collapse. So just staying neutral in your lumbar spine, pivoting from here. After maybe 10 or 15, depending on how you're feeling, switch. Thinking about kind of tucking your pelvis under and staying tucked, even though you're pivoting forward at your hip joint. It's really easy to kind of collapse here and lose that space in the front of your hip. And depending on what you did yesterday or day before, you may want to go into deeper range of motion. You may just want to kind of get things moving and barely get any degrees of flexion there. So next we're going to do a little bit of it's called a posterolateral reach. So you're tapping your foot back behind you and towards the side. So it's my left leg, I'm reaching back and towards the left. And this one, you're keeping your body pretty vertical. This is waking up more hip rotators, abductors and glutes. And then switch. Obviously, feel free to pause the video at any time just to do a few more reps. Okay, let's go knees up. You can add a little bit of overpressure with your hands. Again, this can either be traveling if you've got a room that you can do some laps in, trying to stay upright. So this is not upright. This is upright. Squeezing from the glute of the standing leg. And ranges of hip flexion and hip extension. If you want, you can add a little rotation. So opposite arm goes to the outside of the knee that's coming up. Either take your head with or stay straight. Just kind of opening up that lumbar spine into some rotation. And then full hip external rotation. You're going to bring your foot up. Again, just kind of alternating. Get there, give it a little tug, and then release. No point in cranking on muscles that are already tired, damaged. You'll notice most people have one hip that's a lot easier to do than the other. And then reversing that hip internal rotation is this motion. I usually just do a little bit of a push here, just kind of getting those heels to come forward. This one usually isn't as much of a stretch, but it's nice just to balance out that external rotation. That should do it. Have fun.